Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Awaken Your Health. And I am Julie Murphy, and you are?
I am 𝐾𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, the spiritual bodybuilder.
Yes.
And we are here to awaken your health and your wealth and understand all the energies that go along with it, right?
Well, because everything starts with energy, right? It all
starts and ends with energy.
So if you don't change your energy, you're not going to change your life.
Exactly.
So you better understand what's going on energetically and then how it affects your mental, your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual.
Isn't it so interesting when you think about it, like energy, it cannot be created or destroyed, just transformed, right?
Yep.
So you think about, so that just sort of sparked this idea in me that when you think about like when you're drained, or like if you have one day where you're, you know, like uppity and going about it, or another day when you're tired, where does that energy go if you're not consciously aware of it? What does it transform into?
Well, so it all goes back to electrons, neutrons, protons, right? So like attracts like. That's why they always say misery loves company.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
But it's just like, I mean, think about it. I had somebody actually, I heard this today and I wanted to share it tonight. I could not believe somebody said this. And I was like, oh, so have you been spending time trauma bonding with everybody else?
Yeah, there we go.
Trauma bonding.
That's
I was
big
like,
right now.
Oh, so you got to remember, like attracts like. So if you want to change your life and change your health, you can't hang out with all these people who are complaining about everything.
So true. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Like, it's all energy. It's all vibration, you know. And I also, you know, I go ahead. You were gonna say something.
I was gonna say the psychic hooks, the psychic, like people getting reeled in so hardcore right now. And like energetically speaking, even the people that are not really aware or woke or whatever you want to call it,
yep,
they're still responding and reacting to this energy, and there's things happening, but
yeah,
they're not seeing it. They're just fitting it in that reaction consistently.
That's so true.
And it's massive.
And it's almost as if you don't know how to mentally get out of that cycle, because all you're doing is repeating your suffering cycles. Because what's happening with people today is the fact that anything that is unresolved within yourself is what's coming to the surface, because we're all being pushed to the nth degree.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's going to get me over the hump? Okay, what's going to get me to the next place?
Yeah.
And it's really important to start to dig deep and do your own work. Like, do you, and the universe will take care of the rest.
So true. And you know, trauma bonding doesn't just take place in relationships with like significant intimate relationships. It takes place with your relationship with fitness, with your relationship with food, with your relationship with business partners and friends. The trauma bond is the dysfunctional approach. It's working out because you are comparing yourself to everybody else, right? It's eating from your emotional space when you're filling your gut up too much with shitty food or sugar because you want to numb it out, or you're emotionally reacting to something. It's the process of wanting to numb something out because it's just too uncomfortable and you don't want to feel it. It's the just putting on the mask when you really don't want to put on the mask, or if you can't breathe because you just don't want to get messed with. This is really clarifying weak emotional boundaries.
That is really true. So, I mean, because you've said that the next, you know, until the end of the year, pretty much, we're going to be unpacking whatever is stuck from the divine masculine side, right?
Oh yeah. In a very
and that's
big
where
way.
The planets and everything are all aligned, and I'm already watching that happening with people.
It's so intense. And you know, with this patriarchal society that we live in, you know, the patriarch is narcissism. Like that, how our world is set up is narcissistic. Why do you think narcissism is so prevalent in our freaking world? And it is all crumbling to the nth degree.
Because, okay, so if you go back by the research from Greg Braden talks about how the Earth makes these cycles every 5,132 years. And that we've realized that 5,132 years ago, and this was before 2012. So the turning point was December 21st, 2012, when everyone thought the world was going to end. Yeah. It was actually just the beginning of the end of the way that it is.
Right, exactly.
because the divine masculine for those 5,000 years dominated in lead, which is why narcissism grew, right?
Yep.
And so then what you have now, it's shifting to where the divine feminine is on the rise. And again, everybody has the masculine and the feminine, you know,
Right.
Eastern philosophy with health is that, you know, your right side is the masculine and the left side's the feminine. So if you have issues physiologically on either side, then it's like your father's lineage and your mother's lineage and what you're processing through. And so we're just in this space of where it's starting to shift to where the divine feminine is the lead. So the heart is the lead as opposed to the mind.
Right. And look how many people have their hearts closed or have had their hearts closed. And now it's opening up. It's almost like being forced to open up and people don't know what to do about it.
Oh,
People
they have no idea. Right. People are, because particularly everyone who has tried to really solve this all from a mental and a logical perspective, I'm seeing a lot of them look like they can't make sense of things.
Yeah,
and so
it's painful to watch.
It's really affecting people on a physiological level.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this hands down. You know, we watched, you know, according to Ayurveda, which is the work I did with Deepak Chopra through the years, Ayurveda talked about how we're in a, not only there's 3 doshas that you can have: Pitta, Kapha, and Vata. And so people who have high anxieties, who may be on anti-anxiety drugs or things of that nature, they're trying to manage their anxieties. The reason why it's been so ramped up over the last, you know, decade is because not only are you individually strong and dominant in the Vata energy dosha, but the world was also in a doshic, not doshic, but a Vata dosha. And so that's what caused it all to amplify. So it's interesting how this is also in the energy of all of this, of how this all is shifting.
Okay.
And so we have to realize, you know, like there's great resources out there of how to balance that, but doing things like popping a pill may help temporarily. Long run, it is not the solution because you're not getting to the core of what is actually the issue that you're working through.
Well, so not only is it not the solution, but it's going to actually have a ripple effect in the body and mess a whole bunch of stuff up. That's why, like, medications are notorious for making the pH very acidic in the gut. So that promotes mold and fungus and candida and all this pathogenic bacteria. And, you know, your gut, you know, is your second brain. And there is a gut issue.
And or is it our first brain? They're starting to realize it's way more powerful than our actual brain.
Yeah, I go with that.
Like there's more intelligence because your gut actually sends it to your brain, and there's way more nerve endings and everything in your gut that's regulating everything.
Yeah,
like
you're absolutely right.
Thinking about that the other day.
And in fact, you know, the way that you just put that, I almost feel like the gut is the divine feminine and the brain is the divine masculine.
Oh, wow. Well, the womb, right? Boom.
The womb, yeah. Emotions, moving feelings around in there, right? Telling the brain what to do.
Yeah, gosh, that makes a whole lot of sense.
I mean, look, let's be honest. Like, a good man that makes good decisions in life typically has a good woman supporting him.
Why, thank you.
Hell yeah. I mean, and it's when you find that deep trust and understanding and connection with someone that you can let your guard down to yourself. And when you can let your guard down to yourself, you open up your heart, then it's like the world is ready to receive you, right?
That's a good point.
And I think a lot of, like, because I have a lot of guy friends that are the alpha type, like business, like always, you know, like they're very wealthy and they're running shit in some way, shape, or form, but they're not operating from their heart per se. They're more operating from their masculine, go out there, make it happen, get it done, but they're wearing themselves ragged.
Well, yeah, because it's got to come from a different place. It's got to come from the allowing, you know, and
Right. And most men, like especially a lot of like CEO type men, they don't know how to allow, because they're so used to making things happen. And when you're so used to making things happen, you get this control dynamic because it works.
Well, and I think a big part of the dysfunction that's going on in the world today is that women have chose to become male.
Yes.
To be
100%.
successful, because and this is, you know, I constantly talk about this with women and money and pay raises and all this stuff, that we are part of the problem as women, because we have not owned our greatness and been who we are in our divine feminine power,
Right.
which is more of the allowing and receiving and nurturing piece. Like, we've ignored that in business for so long.
Yeah.
And we're starting to realize that, I mean, and I believe every business needs both, you know, and just like our bodies have the masculine and the feminine sides,
right?
So do organizations, so do governments, so do communities, so do like, it takes both to thrive. You know, I've seen these offices that are these very masculine women, and they're just like, well, I only hire women in my firm. I'm like, oh my God, you sound like like be a chick in finance. It's okay.
Right.
You know, it's like, because people need hand holding through, you know, and some of the guys that are best at it are the guys that are in their heart, you know, that they really truly care. And it's not about like, how much money can I make off of you? It's actually, I care about your family hitting their goals.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's a different way.
You know what I've seen is through my experiences with, like, you know, like different ceremonial practices and different organizations that, like, especially in like the network marketing world, or like, you know, like spiritual ceremonial stuff, when a man and a woman, like, you know, when like a couple that have a healthy relationship come together and facilitate and any kind of, you know, happening, it makes everybody feel comfortable. They're 10 times more effective and efficient, right? And you feel like you can trust them 10 times more. And I think that more and actually right now there's a lot of divine integration with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. As that divine masculine gets purged and cleansed, we're seeing on the surface all that stuff happening now, but on it's already happened at the etheric level. So here in the third dimension, we're seeing all the crap, but underneath it's actually, you know,
it's all orchestrating.
The gap is closing. Right. So the vibrations are starting to get closer and closer, and like-minded people that have that like trust and vulnerable like connection together. I think that, you know, a lot of people are going to really start to find each other. And this is also North Node in Gemini, right? Communities coming together. My community, my God, I had a Monday brunch day today with my community, and we had like 15 people show up, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. All high vibe and building a business.
Mask?
Oh, fuck no. Come on. We don't play that game. No. We all understand, you know, our immunity, and we understand our body and mind. So yeah, there's no need for all those shenanigans.
Did you say shenanigans?
I did. And actually after you said those 3 Ayurvedic words, I was going to say bumblebee tuna. That's the first word that came to my mind. I don't know why.
I am from a health perspective. I love Ayurveda. I really do, because it really taught me a lot about my body and saying, okay, so I have a really fiery, I always thought I was fat, and really I was just inflamed because I am on fire. So pitta means that your fire is out of balance. And I was like, and I'm super fiery. And I didn't realize that, oh, it's actually inflammation. It's actually not fat. Right. And so then when I addressed the inflammation, I started to shrink up. People are like going, what happened to you? I'm like, I'm not inflamed anymore. You know?
Right? Isn't that amazing how that works?
It's crazy. It's
absolutely
crazy good. Yeah. So if anyone, you know, ever wants to learn more about it, you know, the 𝐀𝐿 Center is one of the best places to learn that from.
𝐀𝐿 Center, huh?
𝐀𝐿 Center, yeah. If you want to learn about Ayurveda.
Okay, awesome. Hey, somebody asked, how did you and Julie connect?
January.
Yes, in
January at an ayahuasca ceremony.
Yeah, it was beautiful. A lot of healing.
Yeah, it was mutual friends, we'll say.
yeah, exactly. Mutual friend. It was a beautiful connection, and we've been actually really like kind of like BFFs ever since.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I love it.
You put my back all back in alignment, and then it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, right. Actually, all uphill.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and how much weight have you lost?
About 40 pounds.
40 pounds. Booyah. Nice.
Yeah, I'm ready to drop another 40.
Okay, let's do it.
I know.
I love it.
I'm ready. I've been at this plane, like, you always say that you hit a plateau and then you drop and you hit a plateau. I'm about to drop again.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're about ready to go. Actually, I'm thinking probably towards the end of the month into next month.
And what I think that people really need to hear from a health perspective is the fact that we have to release the emotional gunk that is saved on our bodies on a cellular level. Because I was really, really amazed, and I've talked about this before when we've been on the show together, when that as I started to do that cleansing and clearing, that you had me go get a bunch of colonics and stuff like that after doing ceremony, and I couldn't believe like think of it like any pipe or drain in your house.
Yeah.
You know, those of you who aren't, you know, health experts, think of it like you have to replace your piping and clear your pipes out. And, you know, the human body is no different. And when with all that old emotional stuff, like I just remember that day that I called you up going, okay, I don't understand what's happening. I feel like I'm crazy. Like all these emotions, like I don't even know what's wrong. And you're just like, oh, you've been having all those colonics, all that unprocessed emotion came off the walls of your intestinal tract, and there's pieces of it floating around. So the only way out of it is to feel the feelings that you've never felt before. Exactly. And I remember going, that's it. Like, I was like, come on. And literally, so I was like, I can't believe it's as easy as feeling your feelings.
Well, some people would argue that feeling your feelings is not easy.
Well, it never was for me before because I chalked it up and moved on. I never felt a goddamn thing.
Yeah, right. But
ever.
And the great thing is that when you actually finally allow yourself to feel your feelings, then you have a reference point and you know that, okay, this is going to just go through me. It's going to end. It's not here forever.
Right.
And then you just learn to just go to that reference point and just let it go.
I was in the middle this morning. This is how good I've gotten at this in the moment. And I was in the middle of doing something and my 5-year-old came up to me and I just opened the kitchen cabinet and he came up to me and he wanted to hug me, and you always got to be present moment with kids. So I hug him and then I went and stood up and it was like whack right in the corner of the cabinet. I was like, oh, like it was the biggest pain in my head that I have felt in a really long time. And I was just chalking up and getting ready to go to the next place. And then I just was like, no, feel your feelings, literally shot through my head. And I started bawling, crying. And my kids were like, what's wrong, Mom? Like, it really hurts. Like, and I just was feeling my feelings in the moment. I go, I always tell you guys to feel your feelings. And then my kids go, it'll go by quick, Mom. Just feel them.
Oh, that is awesome.
I was like, okay.
Here you're on. Let's go, Mom. I love it. That is so cute.
Literally over in like 30 seconds flat, but we don't realize, like, that's just a very simple example, but we don't realize how when we don't feel those feelings, how they build up and they just create gunk. And that's where your body then contracts and it has to grow to create, you know, for what you're not processing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Yeah. And so right now, especially considering that it's an Aquarius full moon, this Aquarian energy is going to be very powerful for this next month. It's setting the stage for a lot of other events to come and hit it from multiple perspectives. But there's Aquarius or Uranian kind of energy is very unique, okay? Because it comes in very unexpected ways. Now, and you know, I'm an Aquarius moon, so I understand the concept, but even when I tell myself to expect the unexpected, I still try to figure it out. I even actually try to figure it out more. You know, like I go in the astrology and I go to my intuition and I go, okay, so where am I going to control this or figure it out? And then when it does happen, it's like, I didn't even see that coming. Kidding me? Fuck.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we are not following our intuition these days. You know, I always talk about the fact that we have to be our authentic selves, but you can't be authentic. You really, truly cannot be your authentic self if you don't actually follow your intuition. Because you're not being authentic if you're going by what something or someone outside of yourself guided you to do and it's not from your
Right.
own internal guidance.
So
And
true.
again, that then creates disease in your body. And I
Yeah.
had somebody yell at me one time going, "You mean to tell me that my brother created his own cancer?" And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, he did.
But we don't realize that that's what we do. And that's how we build it up.
And
People,
it's once you do finally realize that you're able to heal it.
yeah. And you know what? And we deserve it. You know, I don't know if I told you this or not, but so from a health perspective, this is where all my signs show up. So back in 2016, I actually had a scare with breast cancer. I had like 7 people call me up and go, "Jewel, I had a dream about you. You got to get a mammogram." And I was like, one was an estate planning attorney, another business owner, a friend from grammar school. I'm like, "Why are all these people?" And I was like, no, I teach this to people. Just address what's going on in your life.
Right.
And then you won't develop the breast cancer. And they found a lump when I got the mammogram. And then over 12 months, as I addressed the stuff that was going on in my marriage, the lump in my breast completely dissipated.
Wow.
So then me and my husband were on a better track at that point. And then I was like, okay, good. And 1 year later, there was nothing to be found. So it never went anywhere. I literally, in a couple months later, it's like, okay, I'm on this health kick. Get a blood test. They're like, "We don't know which autoimmune disease you're growing, but there's one growing." And I was like, no. I'm going to address whatever I need to address. And literally a week later, I was put in a situation where I could not ignore it in my marriage.
Okay.
And I filed for divorce like a month later.
Wow.
And my autoimmune numbers went completely normal.
How
And it was
ironic.
like, and it's really interesting to me now post-divorce. I'm about 2 years out of the divorce, and I've had so many clients after they go through like a traumatic event, because a divorce is like a death.
Oh God, yeah.
And they have had women, ovarian or different types of cancer in the female organs, if you will.
Yeah.
And uterine, ovarian cancer. And I cannot tell you how, because on the physical level, what happens after the trauma, the physical level shifts last. And literally, I'm at the 2-year mark, just like all of my clients. And I just heard from my doctor the other day going, "Julie, you got some abnormal cells going on." And he's like, "It's not turned into the layers." He goes, "It's just a little warning." And I'm going, this is all the work I've done. It's not going to turn into that.
Right.
And it's just going to be like, "Oh, okay, this is just the old shit just moving out on a physical level."
Absolutely.
And it's so interesting to me that I've watched so many clients go through this from a physiological perspective, and even myself gone through it. And this is a 4-year journey. The first warning signs came in 2016. I'm like, no, I teach this. We either work things out or we act it out, and we do it through our health, our money, or our relationships.
Amen.
You know?
Yeah.
And you probably see stuff like this from a health perspective all the time.
Oh, it's everywhere. At this point, it's so obvious to me. It just, okay, go here, do this, figure this out, and boom. It's really like we as a humanity really are emotionally constipated.
Right.
We're so used to just stuffing this up, but everything that's going on in the world right now is saying, hey, like it or not, shit's coming out. We got to go. And so, like it or not, it's happening. But, ultimately, it's a good thing. If you really dig down to the core of any issues you've had this year, it's because you're fighting the process.
Oh.
And you're feeding the fear of the change. There's so much change
cycles.
going on.
Yeah.
Right? So
totally.
Don't fight the process. Trust the process. And you have to remember, divine timing. The shit ain't going to come in the time that you want it to.
It's definitely not going to come in the time that you want it to.
Right.
You have to trust that.
Yeah. I mean, and essentially trusting the universe, trusting source, trusting God is trusting yourself.
Right.
It's all in your heart. The 5th dimension is just your heart-based living. And we're definitely, next year, it's going to go to a whole new level, but they're going to continue to try to instill these fear-based, agendas. And as that grows, we're going to grow in our heart-based living. But in order to do that, like I'll tell you what, definitely expect like a shortage of food pandemic to come up. It's already starting to happen. A lot of banks are already not having enough money. Okay, so that they're trying to push that no cash, world currency. There's going to be another round of whatever kind of biological, issues that are going on.
Well, and I think this is what, and as you say these things, I really want people to hear that this is not about fear. This is about all these extra things outside of us are forcing us to go inside.
Right, exactly.
And the more you go inside and the more you align with your soul and the more you align with your authentic self, the healthier you will be, the higher your immunity will be, and the more happy you're going to become despite all the chaos.
Right, exactly. We're going to start to see bigger and more organized communities being created. And, they're going to be heart-based communities where, like, locals are going to start to grow food. We're going to have to start growing our own food, right? And teaching others to grow food. I'm working with a congresswoman right now, and she's working with an attorney to educate people on how to respond to all this stuff going on, because our rights are being violated. Right. So, but this also has to do with our emotional boundaries, right? Because our constitutional human rights are being violated, but also at a internal level, it's attacking the lack of emotional boundaries that we have within us.
Right.
So where we don't feel good enough, we're like, I'm just going to fall because I don't know what else to do. Right. Well, once you do establish healthy emotional boundaries, then you'll be able to, like, okay, I'm going to stand up for myself here. I'm not going to let you violate my boundaries, but we have to educate people on how to do it. And that is coming. It's coming in very big ways. And this is going to be the real divide when people are going to choose, okay, like, so I'm not going to be able to go in your store, your gym, or your restaurant because of your rules. So I'm just going to have to create my own restaurant, my own store, my own gym.
They just did that in Spain. Did you hear you have to have some certificate in Spain to be able to go anywhere? It's like if you hadn't gotten your temperature taken or gotten this piece of paper, then you're not going to be allowed in restaurants and gyms.
Yeah. That's that whole like ID Agenda 2020 where they're trying to show that you got your vaccinations, your blah, 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 blah.
You know what? I just saw something the other day about, you know what are we going to do? Because how many vaccinations are they going to produce and who's going to get it? And I go, y'all can have it. I don't want it.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, get on with that.
I'm not afraid. To me, it's about build your immune system. There's so many diseases out there that there are no cures for. We just don't know what they are. And at some point we have to have faith and we have to trust in our own divine plan.
I believe that nature provides us with all the cures for anything. We just have to figure it out and find it. Down in Peru,
all the indigenous tribes knew that.
And they still do. I was talking to David, our friend, Energy is Truth. And, he was saying that the 𝘖𝑃𝑔 tribe down in Peru, they reverse cancer, AIDS, diabetes, all these things all the time. They have they use plants, they use the land, they use nature. Nature is like, we're one with Pachamama, with nature, and we have to get reconnected to that, because it's that disconnection that is killing our vibe, dude. Like,
maybe that's why none of the children are actually really getting this, because they're still connected to nature.
Yes.
They haven't become tainted.
Exactly.
I was sitting there the other day, and a friend of mine said to me, Jewel, everybody's so worried about politics, and trust me, I do not want a political conversation, but
I'm right there with you.
I thought this was very interesting. We're not reverting to nature. We're not reverting to these things because there's these other agendas at hand. That Obama, when he was first in office, for the first 2 years, the Democrats could have gotten anything done because they had the Senate, the House, presidency. They could have gotten it done. So if immigration issues were so important, then why wasn't that addressed?
Absolutely.
Now, the first 2 years of Trump, same thing. Senate, House, presidency. Why didn't things get done? That were their agenda items.
Right.
And what my friend pointed out to me was the fact that because who's really running the things is corporations.
Right. Yeah.
This is, if you think about, you gotta go, oh, it's making a lot more sense now, because Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a functional medicine doctor, talks all about the fact that he's going after the food industry because that is run by corporations.
Yeah.
And if we go back to what we were saying earlier about the fact that masculine energy, it's the shadow side of the masculine energy is the competitive, the push, win lose, like that's Wall Street. That, or at least that was Wall Street. I'm watching Wall Street shift a little bit, which is
really,
yeah, that's a whole other different conversation. But what I'm saying is that this is what's going to unpack here, that corporations are not going to be able to do this anymore with their agendas. Like, if people go local and people, why do you think that they're trying to shut down small businesses?
Exactly.
Like,
put more power in the hands of corporations.
And I am not into any of this conspiracy theory stuff, but I'm just saying, I'm observing going, we have to get back to what is natural, the natural world. We have to get back.
Absolutely.
And I've been drawn to that for years. That's why I love Ayurvedic. That's why I'm scheduled to go to India. It was supposed to be for this fall. Now it's next fall. But because there's some of these cultures that are still really entrained in the old indigenous ways, like you're saying, Peru. Yeah. And there's just a couple of different places that are still aligned, Tibetans.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
those are essentially the ones that are going to teach it, that are going to really teach us how to get back to our center. I mean, they are teaching us through their ways, and they've carried these traditions and these like ceremonial rituals over thousands of years. How does a group of people carry that down for that long? It's fascinating.
Because they were told to do it for 5,000 years, and they said in about 5,000 years, what do you want to do? It's just so interesting to me. Bottom line is, follow your intuition and start doing the things that really make you tick, because otherwise your suffering cycles are just going to keep coming, and they're going to keep, until you shift, the crisis will come. You do not have to call in a health crisis, a financial crisis, a relationship crisis. And some of you are calling in all of them.
Yeah. And right now it's sort of all or nothing.
Yeah. And you know what? That's not the case. You may be in relationships that are not, serving you, and maybe you do need to walk away from it. But maybe it's about people growing together and just going, maybe we haven't done this the best we can, and now we're going to be more conscious and we're going to move on. But all of it affects your health. Like, I've watched these couples that have stayed together for years, and they literally physiologically are killing each other.
Oof, it's painful to watch.
Because it's like you play these codependent games that affect your health at a very deep, deep level.
We know also right now the energy, it's making it so bad that there's tower moments happening everywhere. The energy is getting so caustic, it's getting so repulsive that like the husband is now beating the wife, or like there's these dynamics that people are flipping and snapping, and
I'll tell you what, people what a tower moment is. I just want you to explain that.
So the term tower moment comes from tarot, right? The tower is a card that represents a breakdown in life, or something that is going to completely shatter a part of your life that you sort of relied on, that you thought you needed. But essentially a tower moment represents the dissolving of the old, usually associated with an ego death, and a rebuilding, a rising of the phoenix, a rebuilding of the new, which is synonymous with the Uranian energy. It's a very towery moment kind of energy. Right. But like you said, it doesn't have to be that dramatic. I know I've had quite a few tower moments in my life.
If you don't listen to the signs, it will, sorry, I don't mean to turn into a...
No, I agree. Like, we got to let them know.
I just want people to know that you do not have to call in these major crises.
Right.
You are being told by your own intuition what needs to shift in your life. And there is nobody that knows that answer, but you do. And you're just choosing to ignore it. And depending on how long you ignore it, will
Right.
depend on how hard the hit's gonna come.
Right. And the key word there is choosing. You're making a
It's a third
conscious
step in the
choice,
process I walk people through, right? Choose
right?
to change. Choose.
Now, let me ask you something. How would you explain to someone that doesn't understand how to differentiate between intuition and fear? Like I say, well, Julie, I don't know how to follow my intuition. Like I don't understand what it feels like. How do I know that it is my intuition?
Well, you know what? I always believe the best way is to share a story or an example.
I like
Because
that.
so for me, my stuff tends to work out in relationships. And every time I would go down a path and I could find myself contemplating up in my brain. If I am trying to weigh things out and reason them out and like think about scenarios, then I know I'm in my fear because it went up to my head and I started thinking about it. But when I dropped into my heart, like my whole body is calm. Like I'm going, oh, that's the fear and everything that I experienced in a prior relationship. It's not actually what's reality today.
Mm.
And the universe will test you. You will be tested,
yeah.
and you will be given example after example until you like stand in your power against your fear. And so when you start to realize, so if you get depressed, you're not in the present moment. If you're going to anxiety, you're not in the present moment, because
Right.
if you're in the present moment, you're in your heart and you're in your intuition. And you should be in a state of neutrality where you don't know why it feels good. You just know that it does, and it makes you feel grounded.
Yeah, isn't it funny how even like when we are in that place of sort of just being in peace, that a lot of times we may like we still want to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know
but
what I
when
mean?
you try to start figuring it out, that's when you got a problem.
That's when
because
it goes
you're going
back
up
to
here.
depression and anxiety. Woo.
And you just know it's like, okay, stop the monkey mind.
The monkey mind. That monkey will shit all over you.
No more monkey minds.
Somebody shit on the Coates. I'm sorry. Have you ever seen Dane Cook or heard Dane Cook's? Oh my God. You have to listen to Dane Cook. Somebody shit on the Coates. It's hilarious.
Oh.
And he talks about having a little like knife fight with a monkey. It's so funny.
It
You'll
is
love it.
what it is. Yeah.
Dane Cook.
Well, I got to tell you, I am just, we really can choose this place of wholeness, but you've got to be authentic and you've got to follow your intuition, because I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon.
No, if anything, it's going to speed up and get more intense. And now, can we go back to the Wall Street thing? What have you seen that's changing at Wall Street?
Well, you've started to see over the last like 2 years, and mostly in the last year, how companies, you couldn't go public if you didn't do certain things that 5 years ago was like, what? As an example, if you didn't have a stock program, like I remember I was on WGN years ago when Facebook was about to go public. And they asked me like, well, what do you think about Facebook going public, doing an IPO? So they were going from all the employees and the original founders owned it to now letting people at large own shares of stock.
Gotcha.
And when they were going through that, it's called an IPO. It's an initial public offering. When they go through that process, that you can then buy shares. And I said, I go, well, the biggest problem with IPOs is that it's like, hooray for me and fuck you. And people would be like, what are you talking about? Like, you can make money. I'm like, yeah, but people love Facebook and they're buying the stock because they believe in Facebook. But this is actually a liquidity event, so everyone can get their cash out because they have stock, and you're buying all their shares, and then you're sitting on a pile of cash while other people are holding the bag. And typically, a lot of times, the share price would then drop. And I said, so you have to buy it for the good fundamental reasons, not because it's, you know, you want to own a share because it's done really good. And so what the big shift that's happened is that after Facebook did that, and it wasn't just Facebook, there were so many companies that did things like this. And actually Facebook did a little bit better than a lot of other companies, that they didn't allow then the employees and the owners all to sell their shares all at once, which was really the only way that it used to be. You could only sell in certain windows, and you had to do it over a few years. And that is now like the healthier companies out there, that's what they do.
Oh,
And
really?
and so you can't even really go public these days if you don't do that. Like it's really frowned upon. Like your share price will not do good out of the gates. As well as if you don't have diversity on your board. Like if you don't have diversity on your board, like you might as well not go public, because and 5 years ago that was not reality. So
Really?
this is where that's like the inclusiveness, the allowing, the receiving. That's the divine
It's
feminine
almost like a good old boys club, kind of.
Yeah, the good old boys club, it's not working so well no more.
Thank God.
Like, so there are shifts and changes happening now. It's happening slower.
Yeah.
But it's changing. It is shifting. There is no doubt that it's shifting.
Okay. Nice.
It's really kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Well, that's huge, because I mean, because if an entity like Wall Street is starting to shift, that means everything is shifting.
Yeah. Well,
down to the very.
You know, I'll talk about Deepak Chopra. I remember him saying in the health sector, he's like, I tried to go in through the government and change everything. Like he was that powerful. And he goes, I find nobody in that system wanted it to change. He goes, so we have to build it outside and just let that fall apart.
And
I remember him saying that.
That is exactly what's going on right now in regards to this shift of the 5D, 3D.
Right.
We have to separate ourselves from this matrix that is just completely crumbling. And the people that want to stay there, have fun, do your thing. But we are going to create our own civilization, really, in this world.
Well, and this is what I want people to hear. This is why you need to awaken your health, because if you don't do these things, it will come out in your health. Yeah. It absolutely will, because it'll come out on a cellular level. Absolutely. And you deserve more than that. You deserve to, you know, thrive.
Shit's about to get real nasty. I'm just gonna be straight. Like, as soon as this vaccine comes out and people that line up to go get it, there are gonna be so many new and never seen before health problems that it's gonna be scary.
Did you hear they're paying people to take the testing vaccines right now?
Yep. Yeah. And people are lining up for it. Like, bro, are you out of your mind?
I'd rather try it on a rat first.
I would rather eat elephant shit every day for the rest of my life than to inject that crap into my body. No way.
You know what? I really want to hold. For me, I want to hold a space that, you know what? If that's what you want and you believe in, great.
Sure.
I'm asking you not to try to impose that on me.
100%. Yeah.
And that is what is beautiful about democracy, is the fact that we can have different opinions, and it's about being respectful and honoring that the other people choose it. And that's okay. It's absolutely okay.
And that's the attitude that we have to go out there with, but not a whole lot of people are holding that space right now. And that is, I think, the biggest challenge, because there are so many triggers and everybody's putting their shit out there and projecting everywhere. And, you know, so it's almost like certain people feel entitled to make sure that you, like, I've been getting so many messages from the things that I post, from my opinion, like, oh, how disgusting, you are repulsive, you're a fucking disgusting piece of shit. I'm like, okay, cool, you're allowed to think whatever the fuck you want. Like, then don't look.
But that's the whole process that's crumbling, the duality and polarity.
Right.
And I refuse to participate in it. I
hear you.
It's just like, it's okay. You know, to me, I want to send more love and compassion to those people that are projecting like that, because that just tells me their stuff's really up. Yeah. And they're about to go down a road that's gonna be rough. And it's definitely going to affect their health, because all that projection, all it does is lower your immune system. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that, look, and the gut is what tells the immune system what to do. There's the enteric nervous system that sends signals to your immune system, and that's why, like, when your gut is so, when the signaling is so out of balance, it gets hyperactive or hypoactive, right? So that is a whole nother level of why gut health is so incredibly important.
Well, and how many people are not digesting what's going on these days?
Right, exactly.
Like, it literally is, like, it's not so much of a metaphor. It's like, literally, you're not going to be able to digest food if you can't digest on some level what's going on in the world.
Yeah. And it's so big and so intense. A lot of people are just sort of in denial almost, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so, but I will say that in this next couple of months, in fact, today we have Mars exactly square to Jupiter.
what does
And
that
this, so Jupiter expands anything that it connects with, right?
Yep.
And so this can be like, it can be a lot of money, or it can be like a lot of jail time. It can be really healthy, or like a really serious, like, eating disorder.
And it's really good that I've eaten only vegetables for 72 hours because that'll expand.
It'll expand in its efficacy. Okay. So Jupiter enhances, intensifies anything that's around. That's why basically this whole year it's been conjunct Pluto. All right. Are you yawning but trying to hide it?
I did. I totally did. I was like, I can't yawn right now. I'm telling you, it's because I'm only eating vegetables and it's like it wears off really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. that was cute.
No protein in my system.
Love it. Okay, so
Pluto and Jupiter out there, dude.
Are Pluto and Jupiter are basically like sitting together for pretty much the whole year. They're going to conjunct a third time in November. But while they're communicating, Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, right? Yeah. So Pluto is the tower card. All right. Jupiter is shining a bit. It's like a microscope on that tower moment for humanity. Okay.
Yeah.
And right now it is sitting right on the same degree where the Saturn-Pluto conjunction was back in January. So all the stuff that kicked this shit off back in January,
yeah,
it's going to a deeper level. Okay. Now, with that, we have Mars that is in its home sign. So Mars is the god of war, right? It's very fiery. It's very like it's the warrior. And now it's square, which is a very tense aspect to Jupiter. Jupiter is expanding this tension with Mars and Aries. So, and then it's gonna go ahead and square Pluto, then Saturn, then go retrograde and square them again. And then it's gonna go direct and square them a third time. So whenever something like this happens, very significant because there's a 3-phase process. It's gonna dig some shit up. Then we're gonna go and we're gonna experience it and learn it and go and get into all the gunk and sort of like a Dark Knight kind of thing. And then we're gonna purge it out and cleanse it, clear it, and then we're gonna learn the lesson and proceed the fuck on. So we've never seen, I don't think anybody's ever seen this.
And what time period is all this gonna happen?
Between September and November.
It's
going to be in its final phase right when the elections are happening. No coincidence there.
No coincidence. And I keep hearing that December is when everything's going to unpack.
Well, December is when we're going to top all that ice cream cake off. We're going to top all that off with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius, right? So this Aquarius full moon is especially important because we've been one step at a time stepping more into the Aquarian age, right?
The age of Aquarius.
Yeah. So stepping more into that, then it's going to be like the final pact, if you will, because Jupiter and Saturn, this is a very special conjunction because it's at 0 degrees, which is a master number. And it basically, that's like stepping into the literal metaphorical vortex of what Aquarius represents. So this is literally really fully stepping into this age, which is really going to shift the energy big time. Not only that, though, it's starting I believe a 200-year cycle of Jupiter and Saturn conjunctions only in air signs. For the last 200 years, it's been in earth signs, I think.
So here's what's interesting. That's what Deepak Chopra says, that so Vata is excess air.
Yes. So we're stepping into a time of excess air.
Which
but
is
not only that,
amplify anything that's been going on.
I just got a comment here. So my 15-year-old Capricorn love proceed the fuck on. He says it's his new motto. All right. Well, I'm happy I can inspire teenagers. Thank you. You rock. Your bomb.com. Oh yeah.
We gotta inspire somebody.
Yeah. Right.
Hell
yeah. But, you know, I will say, as far as aspects go, because we have a lot of difficult stuff going on right now, right? But we do have Venus that is just about ready to conjunct the North Node. And that is really significant because that facilitates a new start in our relationship to money and love. It's
all second chakra. I always say that's why, you know, so people who don't know my story, so after my divorce is over and everything, I was trying to figure out like why all the triggers with my ex-husband and everything, blah, blah. And it really had nothing to do with him. It actually had to do with the fact that I was in a hypnotherapy appointment and realized that I was sexually molested by the Catholic priest who was a family friend. And I was like, well, of course, here I have this experience at a very young age on a sexual front and I do money for a living. Like it's all the same chakra. It's all the same chakra. And I sat there and people are like, wait a minute, you're not alarmed. I go, no. Like all the light bulbs just went off for me because, and when you're saying like love and money, like, yeah, like that's all second chakra.
Yeah, it really is. Huh.
Very interesting.
That's so true. So we're going to be experiencing new opportunities coming in. With the North Node, it's our future self. It's our future opportunities. It's the person that we're meant to be to step into. Now, will we see it?
Thank God.
In order to see it, in order to be ready to take it on, we have to be willing to step into that fear of the unknown, and we have to be in the present moment, which comes back to the distraction, the numbing it out, the being anxiety or depressed in the present, or I mean in the past or the future. This is where the work really counts. It's like the universe saying, all right, here you go. Are you going to have a closed door? Is your door going to be open? Like, let's go. Let's see what's up.
Let's open it up.
Open it up. And that's part of what this other tense energy is. It's saying, you'll open up, come on.
Yeah.
And then our ego is like, no, I don't want to go. Well, yeah, you do want to go. Let's go.
Well, you know what? We're not going to have a choice, so you're going to create disease in your body.
Exactly.
You guys, I see this all the time. If you don't do this work and where we're being guided to do, like if you are fighting for your limitations and you're finding yourself triggering and you're finding yourself lashing out and projecting people and people are irritating you, if you are irritated, something needs to shift in you.
Boom. Preach it, woman.
I am so sorry to be the bearer of that news because so many people think it's about the other people.
Yeah, I know.
And pick it. You know what? Politics, masks, whatever, homeschooling.
Right.
If you are triggered, you need to shift.
100%.
And when I realized that years ago, it was like this light bulb went off because your ego still wants to blame the other people or the other circumstances or the other. But when you can actually take a step back and go, okay, what needs to shift in me? What needs to shift in me? And when the light bulb started to go off of what needed to shift in me, all of a sudden, then my reality around me started to shift.
Ooh.
Because I shifted.
Exactly.
But if you're telling everybody else they have to shift, your world's not changing at all.
Exactly.
And that's where the magic is.
Boom. Amen.
The magic is you shift you, everything then shifts around you.
Exactly.
And so the question is are you going to have the courage to do that?
That's it.
That's really what so much of it boils down to.
That's so true. That's so true. So, you know, when you ask yourself this, if you decide to ask yourself this, look and see if you're really bullshitting yourself or if you really believe that, like, you know, like
bullshit. No,
yeah, exactly. People are interdependent by nature. So if you isolate yourself or if you go out there for validation, like all these things need to be looked at. And if you don't know, or if it's like you constantly bring in dysfunctional relationships with friends or with family, there's always drama.
Yeah.
Because right now, like if it's dysfunctional, it's gonna be loud. So you gotta like stop looking at, okay, well, they did this to me, they did that to me. No, what did you do to yourself? Why are you attracting this into your life? And that is taking responsibility, because there's this very powerful victim mentality that is being promoted, that is being like activated in society. It's exactly what we need to address and turn around.
Totally. And, you know, it just really goes back to self-love and self-care.
So true.
And that's what I think that's a perfect note to end on for people, to really take this next week and do whatever you need to do extreme self-love and extreme self-care, because that's the step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
You know,
Self-care is critical right now. I mean, always critical, but now it's even more so.
it really is. And it's just about loving yourself enough to do it. And, you know, it took me a long time to put myself in front of other people. Those Catholic roots went way deep for me.
Yeah, no
You know,
kidding.
that it was like, do for others before yourself. And it's like, yeah, not anymore. Like, because what I realized is that just keeps you trapped in your fear cycle.
Exactly.
And
no,
because that only creates disease over time, and it goes away from the fact of oneness. And, you know, and I really truly believe, like, we live in like an energy grid. And if you're dimming your light, the whole grid is dimmed down.
100%.
Brighten your light, get up there, get doing it, and flourish.
We need to let that light shine, baby. Let it shine.
Totally. So let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And then once you let it shine, then you let that freak flag fly.
Oh, I love my freak flag. At some juncture, I'm going to make a freak flag of some sort.
Okay. I would like to see that.
Yes, being your authentic self is letting your freak flag fly. And
100%.
you are better at something than anyone else in this earth. And that's why you came here. So
exactly.
we need you all to share your gifts with the world, because it's so important.
Amen, sister.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, tell everybody how they can find you.
You guys can find me on my website, spiritualbodybuilder.com, or you can go to my Instagram. It's in the link on there. And I do astrology readings. I do spiritual health coaching. I have a free ebook that you can download, and I have the amazing opportunity community. So come on by, check it out. I'd love to work with you. What about you, Julie?
Yeah, you can reach me at juliemurphy.com. And I am so excited. In the next couple of weeks, we're rolling out our Awaken Your Wealth. We have a full-size course and a mini course, because I tried to make it at every price point of what works for the majority of people. And so we developed them both ways, and I'm super excited about it. And in the Awakening series, if you're up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, we're doing Awakening Your Spirit to do some energy work with my buddy David from Sedona.
Yeah.
And nice. On Thursday, Awaken Your Relationships at 9 a.m. Central.
Beautiful. I love it. I love the work that you're doing, Julie. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Much
Absolutely.
love to everybody. And let's just keep helping each other get to the next right step.
Amen.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a great night, guys.